What is going on, Stonebladers? We got a new matchup today against Miracles. We are going to be on the play. I didn't realize we were going to be against Miracles, but either way, this hand isn't the greatest in the world. The fact of the matter is that I love it because it at least has land and a Flooded Strand along with the Brainstorm. This can at least shuffle away a bunch of these. So aside from that, pretty much we can sculpt our hand from then on out. The fact that we are on the play makes it even better in case we were against something else. But the fact of the matter, it worked out even best because we are against another control matchup. So let's keep this. Plus, I hate mulliganing. I know I can do some good things with this hand, and I'd rather do that than throw it back, be at a card disadvantage. Especially on the play, mulliganing is worse than. Sure thing. Next turn, we're going to be planning on playing Island, Flooded Strand. Great draw. Flooded Strand it is. Let's pass the turn. Aiming for an end of turn Brainstorm. Shuffle away some unneeded stuff. Okay. And this version played Mishra's Bauble along with some Predicts, which is a nice little combo. I like that. Nice synergy. Let's Brainstorm. And we get not much. Okay, so obviously Jit and land. Let's see, move this over here. This is the worst here, Jit. We don't need that. And then aside from that, I think looking back at it, what I would have done is get rid of Jit and Plains. What I ended up doing is Jit and Tundra, just because once it's back in the deck, I can use these to shuffle for it. But I think hindsight, looking back, it would just be Jit and Plains, although Jit and Tundra isn't the worst. Yep. I didn't feel like setting a trigger there, so I just did it there. If they were playing Stifle, then they would have gotten me. Awesome draw. Okay, so I believe here was an Arid Mesa. Pass the turn. Playing out lands against a control deck is always a really good thing. I don't want to Brainstorm here simply because I don't have another fetch. If I want to Brainstorm, I have to fetch first, and then I have to use it. So if I can float one more turn, what I can do here is play an Island and then aim for a Brainstorm at the end of the turn. Not a bad draw. Let's play Island. Okay, Brainstorm. They're doing their miracle stuff, sure. This deck was very heavily reliant on this. This was actually the first time I had seen this. I don't think they had a Plains. I think I ended up seeing a Tundra anywhere, but they relied heavily on this to get their Plains, which was an interesting strategy. So it's going to be Island, Island for Snapcaster, Island to Brainstorm, then we can fetch everything away. Now this was a very interesting... Okay, they cast a Snapcaster, and they don't have Teferi out, so they certainly can't cast that. I'm not sure why they did that. Against Miracles, or Miracles against Stoneblade, you need all the value you can get when it comes to a Snapcaster, whether it be using it for a Brainstorm like this, where I can actually have cards that I can shuffle away, and then obviously fetch. I don't know exactly what that does. I get a nice 2-for-1. They just get a body there, so it's just, okay. If they wanted to do that, that's fine. These cards are great. Starting to get some haymakers in the house. So here's simply going to be Plains and I think Delta, because this can get Tundra and this can get the Plains in case I need to cast Councils. So it should be Plains, probably Polluted Delta. Correct. Once again, I didn't feel like putting a trigger. I have this really bad problem where a lot of times what I'll do is like click on stop on my opponent's turn, and then you go to fetch and you're like, crap. I would just rather do it while I know I'm not going to mess it up. Plus, I don't like keeping a stop there all the time. It's just one more thing to click through, so... yeah, let's play Arid Mesa. Now, the idea here is, which haymaker do we want to fire first? I think what I might have done... There are some weird lines where I can actually play Teferi, bounce Snapcaster, and then just play it again just to, you know, block if I need to. But I don't know. I also don't know if it's going to be if they're going to be able to counter it or not. The fact of the matter is that if I play this, they're not going to Spell Pierce me, so it's probably going to eat a Force. I believe I went with Narset here. The reason why I'm getting a Plains here, because I want to use the Plains to tap when I play this. So I do Plains, Island, Island. Then I will have Island, Island up for both Spell Pierces. If I didn't do that, otherwise I'd leave myself with like Plains and a Tundra, which I don't want. I think it was Narset. And this is good. This eats a Force of Will along with the Force of Will. That's great. That's fine by me. They can have it. So I was thinking maybe if they were playing a Snapcaster, possibly they were planning on playing a Planeswalker and they wanted to protect it. That's one reason why you might want to play Snapcaster. So I decided to actually attack here. Given the fact that I do have a Teferi, I would rather have both of these off of the board. If I need to break on through, I was literally just about to say break on through to the other side. If I need to break on through to the other side, I could just play a True Name and then attack there and pressure their Planeswalkers. So I am happy to trade here. I got a 2-for-1 out of that, and they just got a Snapcaster, so sure. Okay. Nothing. Cool. All right. Let's see. How many mana? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 3, 2, 2. I'm not sure if I played this or not. I might have. Either way, I know it would be Plains, Island, Island. I believe I'm going with Teferi here. Okay, I did play it. That's fine. Seeing the Force... Oh, I played True Name. Sorry. What do they got? Predict. Okay. I don't want to double pierce that. The reason I played True Name there is simply because I wanted something to be able to stand in front of Teferi. See what they got. Sure. Oh boy. You're really playing into my mana like that with a True Name out anyway? I mean, you're simply... Anyway, we're Spell Piercing. We're not asking questions about how they play. They can play how they want. That's very tough to play into. Especially on turn 6. I have not countered anything else, but okay. Island. I don't think I played the Island on this turn. Now, going back to it, I probably wouldn't have attacked first. What you want, I think the best play, if you're planning on playing Teferi here, like I did plan on doing, the best thing is to actually play Teferi first. You want to make sure that obviously they can't Snapcaster because they only have 1 land. But let's just say it was a different scenario and they had 2 lands open. You would want to Teferi first, so that way if they play a Snapcaster, then you don't attack with True Name. However, what I did, I'm so used to, as always, just not playing a land, attacking. It's not really going to do much when they only have 1 land, but either way, we're playing Teferi. I think the idea was that I pretty much knew Teferi was going to get through. They pitched Force, and they only have 1 land, which I can Spell Pierce if they want to do something from there, so... Okay, now, once again, looking back at this, I have yet to use Teferi against Miracles, and ironically enough, now that we have Teferi, our matchup is even better, which is more ridiculous. I think here, ticking up is going to be the best, just to get max value out of it, depending on what they do, because literally the only way that they can kill this now, I doubt they play Council's Judgment, given the fact that there's like no planes and they would need 2 of these, so they would just have to attack it, or Red Blast it, which they're probably not playing main, so actually chose to get a card out of this. Just return nothing. That's cool. Whatever. But looking back at it now, I would have just ticked up. This is not going to work how you think it's going to work, opponent. Nope. Yep, guess what happens? They concede. What else is new? Can I play a match of Magic without someone conceding? Yeah, but that stops thanks to Teferi. Teferi is great at that. And keep that in mind. This is quite the combination, especially if we're playing against the deck. At first, the first few turns, I actually thought it was playing against maybe some type of like high tide deck, you know, with maybe, I don't know why they would use Astrolabe. Maybe they're splashing for some reason. They could have done that, but once I figured out it was Miracles, I'm like, okay, this we know how to play against Miracles. Either way, let's move to the sideboarding so we can show you what we're doing for game 2. All right, so against Miracles on the draw, I do like Flusterstorm. Great for Counter Wars. I love Spell Snare. This deck did not show any counterbalances. They're great against counterbalance if they have them. They're great against Snapcaster if they have them. They're showing that they're playing Predict. Given the fact that they are on many Mishra's Bauble, then they're probably going to be playing quite a few Predicts, so that's definitely coming in. Blast, easiest choice ever. Don't need Rest in Peace, don't need Disenchant, don't need Containment Priest. Vendilion Clique's definitely coming in. I like Force of Negation, and don't need any of these. So we're taking a Plains out. We're going to take out Back to Basics. There's actually a lot of cards that are just really good. And we're taking out 2 swords. They didn't show what their win condition was. It's probably going to be, well, I know what it is because I played, but thinking it was going to be either be Mentor or Entreat the Angels. Aside from that, I know there's a few more others that can come out. I think I took out 1 Spell Pierce, and of course, I took out 2 Forces. I still like having some Force of Wills. They are very helpful. This matchup is all about landing and protecting your haymakers. Even if I got a 2-for-1 myself, card advantage is only good if you have the right cards to stop the right cards at the right time, if that makes sense. So let's check out what we're working with. I don't know if you heard that, but that was some really loud thunder. It was pretty cool. Let's move this over here. So, I mean, our deck is really, really good. In fact, I could probably take out a Jit. However, games tend to go very long, and you can usually get some good value out of it, whether you're brainstorming it away or maybe picking off some Snapcasters, whatever it's going to be. But our land is very lean. We can aggressively fetch for our Volcanic and Tundra, our non-basics. 2 swords for the creature removal. Got plenty of cantrips. Flusterstorm helps with our Counter Wars. Spell Pierce can pretty much always find a use for. Spell Snare is great, a lot of targets. This is an MVP. Counterspell is always awesome. Snapcaster is awesome. Stoneforge is our way to get another little clock. Get some card advantage, shuffle away. This can handle anything. Force of Negation is nice because as the game goes on, we can hard cast it. Narset is a haymaker. True Name is a house. Vendilion is very helpful utility. It picks apart their hand. It looks at their hand. You get information. You want to keep stuff. You want to get rid of it. Teferi is the newest addition against Miracles, so this is the first time playing against Miracles with him. Jace is the man. Force is nice. Batterskull too. Let's get started. All right, so this hand is literally haymakers, but it has to go back. Like awesome card, you know, awesome card. Haymaker, haymaker, protection, crap, crap. We're not playing a one-lander that's plains. Goodbye. Sayonara. New hand. Okay, this is a little bit better. It's going to take some time to sculpt our hand, but I'm definitely not throwing this back. I like this. We have our Volk, we have Tundra, we have Spell Snare for any type of counterbalance. I'm not going to put them on counterbalance, although it's possible. 2 Ponders, click. Councils is the oddball out, a little more challenging to cast. We're not going to be needing that anytime soon. Sure, sure. Here's some thunder. I don't know if you can hear that. It's very loud to me. Okay. Here, I don't want to hold up Spell Snare. I need to get my hand going. I need to start finding maybe some Pierces, some Forces. Usually their stuff is going to happen on turn 3, whether it be Mentor, Teferi, Narset if they have it. Moving on to turn 4 with Jace, which we know they're playing. Let's ponder. Ha! Wow, this is awesome. So I think what I want to do is Polluted Delta on the bottom, Teferi, and then Pyroblast in my hand. Keep in mind that they can look at the top card of my hand, so there is the option, should they be able to do that, then they could cast a Predict on that, putting that in the graveyard. I was willing to take the chance that they didn't have it, given the fact that I did ponder and keep my shields down when it comes to utilizing my Spell Snare. So Delta bottom, Teferi middle, Pyroblast hand. And ideally, what I want to do here is next turn, Arid Mesa go, and then still not crack, because I want that 3rd land. Unless I ponder and then snag it, but it's up to me. So they're drawing cards. That's good. That means they're not playing Predict. Teferi lives another day. Okay, Arid Mesa. I don't want to ponder here. I want to be able to either Spell Snare and or Pyroblast, plus I want that 3rd land, so we're not doing anything. I'm hoping that I don't have to do anything. Sure. Nothing. This is good. Sure. Island, island, island. Let's play this. Now we can actually ponder, simply for the fact that we have Spell Snare up and Pyroblast. Plus, I want to look for something else, maybe like a Spell Pierce, maybe a Force of Will, some other type of backup. Because right now, they could play, say, like a Jace next turn. I could Pyroblast it, but if they have any type of Force of Will, I can't fight back. Playing a Teferi into this is not a good idea. This isn't the worst in the world. I do like having the Flooded Strand, because when you are playing these types of games, you need mana. Mana is so important. You cannot get choked on mana. As you saw in the first game, like my hand wasn't great in the beginning, but I had a lot of mana, and I had the help of a Brainstorm to help me out. Okay. So Ponder is next, which is good. If I have to shuffle it away, I have to shuffle it away, given the fact that I might need to utilize either a Spell Snare or a Pyroblast. Okay, so they're getting Brainstorm. Very easy Pyroblast. Let's hope that there's no force backup. That's what we are looking for, like a Spell Pierce. Spell Pierces are very handy in this. Okay. And I think I ended up shuffling simply because I wanted to play like a True Name or Teferi with backup here, and I had 4 land. Okay, so what I want to do here is play Flooded Strand, shuffle it, not shuffle it, fetch, get a Plains, and then use the Plains as the colorless or the Plains for this, depending on which one I want to play. So looking at it now, in open board, I kind of like Teferi simply because what I can do is if I play that, then I can play True Name next turn to pretty much kind of protect whatever's going to happen. But either way, let's do Flooded Strand. This is also going to give me protection should the... Okay, so they didn't want a Force of Will the previous... Or maybe, did they have that? Let me think. When I Red Blasted their Jace, did that mean they have another turn? No, so they actually had this in their end. Okay, well that's interesting. Now let's Pyroblast this. And once again... With no targets here, I think I would have just ticked this up. I got to realize that it's very hard for them to remove unless they have a Red Blast since we are in game 2. So maybe I could be a little bit more chances of me actually taking this down. But I still think ticking it up is fine. So what? They kill it and it goes 1 for 1. I think being able to, in case they play anything, being able to bounce it, any type of creature is going to be more helpful. Considering the fact that I know what they're going to be playing, which is going to be a Mentor. That would have been much more helpful should I be able to bounce that. Then, of course, I could always, you know, counter it coming back. They probably still would have killed it with all the tokens that they're going to make, but many different ways to play Magic. We're looking for the end result, though. Okay. That's going on top. They're working their magic, sure. While they're making tokens with these, they're not getting a whole lot of value. I mean, like when you Brainstorm, you put 2 cards back on top, you Brainstorm again. You're only looking 1 deeper. So it's not like you're getting a whole lot of value out of them. First, let's tick this up in case we forget. So here, I mean, like 5 land is going to be even more helpful. I'd be able to get, if I wanted to, I could do like True Name and Snap. Although that probably wouldn't stop it either way, unless they don't attack with this because it doesn't get big enough, which probably wouldn't be the problem. Either way, we need to get, I think Mentor is obviously going to be the biggest deal here, so we don't have any cantrips, but we do in our graveyard. So what we want to do here is Snapcaster, Ponder, and we're looking for a sword. And since we're looking for a sword, we want to tap blue-white for Snapcaster. Despite the fact having Valk is always great, we're going to be tapping this because we're not looking to counter anything, we're looking to sword something. So we were keeping Tundra open, and we found it. Okay, so what I did here, I think, was Island, True Name, right, Island on the bottom, True Name in the middle, Swords. Despite the fact that having Island is very helpful, True Name is eventually going to start to be able to brick wall these because they can't counter the Swords that I'm about to play. It's going to get through, so I wanted True Name here. I had to accept the fact that Teferi was going bye-bye. I was okay with that. Okay, Teferi did very well for the time that he was here. What do they got? No? No? Okay, they have their own Teferi. They played their Teferi extremely aggressive. Okay, going nuts with these. You don't need too many of them. Let's double check who they're going to be attacking, because you never know if they attack me. One at me and one at Teferi. I'm blocking the one that's probably at Teferi. So they're both at Teferi, so we don't need to block here. We can pressure Teferi next turn. Sure. Okay, we knew that was coming, so what we want to do here, I believe I attacked Teferi first. Let's play some good magic. Let's attack first. Let's play True Name, keeping Volk open, despite the fact we're not going to be able to play anything because Teferi is out. Still, like representing the best possible. That's actually really good. They had another Teferi that they pitched, and they had a Force of Will. So their gameplay now is just utilize their prowess, dudes. Sure. Okay, we got one more where that came. Oh, I clicked too fast. Okay, so what they did, they kamikazed their Teferi just to pick up their Labe. So they draw a card, then they get to play a Labe, draw another card. I thought that was very aggressive. But, okay. I mean, that's what they wanted to do. I thought maybe they had another one. And what do they have? And given the fact that they nuked it, now we can spell snare this. I want to keep that body on board. You never know if we're going to need it. Plus this hits it perfectly. Why not? Nuking their Teferi opened me up to be able to do that. So I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. I'll take 6 here. And we have an island on top, which is really good. That means we're going to have 5 mana. 3, 4, 5. So we're going to play Island. Then we're playing True Name, and we want to do Island, Island Plains. This is the most, what's the word? Scary mana to leave up. We don't want to be like, imagine tapping Volk, Tundra, Island, and then we just have Islands and Plains up. Like, I've seen people do that before. Like, I say as if it's fundamental, and it is, but there's plenty of people who will actually do that. I am now the beatdown. They have 2 tokens. If they want to attack with one, they have to play 2 instants or sorceries, more than that, because they'd have to play 3 of them just to get above True Name. There's a good chance that's not happening, so given the fact that their creatures are tapped, we are the beatdown in this specific scenario, because both of their things are tapped. So they have 2 cards in their hand. They have 1 card in their hand. Okay, thank you for the information. Appreciate it. Let's play Ponder. Okay. Batterskull is iffy. You can eat a Spell Pierce very easily. You could eat a Force of Negation, a Force of Will. What I do like here is the Polluted Delta. Given the fact that I tapped blue here, that would give me an extra land. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means I would have an extra island. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 islands. This requires 4 islands in 1 colorless. I like that. I want the Polluted Delta because simply what I'm going to do with that is play it. And when I need to, I will shuffle. I did not attack here. There you go. Land is very important. Aha! So here's a very, very important line. So if I go to counterspell this, if they have a Red Blast, if they have a Force of Negation, 1, 2, 3, they only have 4 mana open. If they have anything else that I can think of, given the fact that there is a Volk showing, I did not want to take that chance, so here's what I did. First, I fetched with Polluted Delta. I got in Islands. We're playing Click, and we're going to check out their hand first. If they have nothing, we let them keep it. And given the fact that I added to the storm count, either way, we're getting rid of that. So they literally need to get a Red Blast here, or a, what's the word, or another Flusterstorm if they had 2. Usually they played around 1, or a Force of Negation. Let's counter it. And they didn't get either of those. Good. Okay, so I'm pretty sure Let's see. So that extra land really helped. Even if I went to counterspell, I might have had enough, but I wasn't going to take that chance. That is how they were going to run away with the game. So that is the line I took, and it worked out very well. Let's play that. While I don't like these cards all too much, Force of Negation is what's going to pretty much help me the most when it comes to, say, Jace isn't the worst in the world. I might be able to let that live just because they're on a quick clock, but it's Terminus, what I don't like the most. So very important here. If I want the Force of Negation, we're doing Island on top, Flooded Strand on top, and then Force of Negation on top. The reason for that is because we're going to draw Force of Negation. Next turn, we're getting a Flooded Strand. Then we can play it and crack it so we don't time walk ourselves and draw an island. So if you do that wrong, like I said, all the time with Ponders and Brainstorms, you can literally just skip a turn and draw nothing. So let's do that. We're just attacking with Click here. We are pretty much the beatdown, but we have to attack in a smart way. Now they're on a 2-turn clock, and we can get even more aggressive. We can attack with both. Let's attack with both first. Okay, despite the fact, you know how I love keeping cards in my hand, I believe playing Flooded Strand is so much more helpful should the game continue to go on. Like, obviously they could put me on having a Red Blast or any type of force, or maybe like a Snapcaster, but if the game goes on, I would rather not draw an island here coming up. And they didn't get it. And that was that. So once again, we beat Miracles, which is like 15 in a row now or something ridiculous. This matchup is even better. I have some tightening up of my Teferi use. Like I said, I've just started using this card, so I got to think about whether I want a plus or minus. And I think most of the scenarios here, I simply, especially game one when they don't have Red Blast, on a board with nothing on it, +1 seems like the actual really good play, and then using it when I need to. You know, I could always Snapcaster something, get value out of it, Teferi, bring that back to my hand, get even more value, draw a card. Stuff like that is really going to put you ahead. But yet again, that's another one for the good guys. This one was very, very well needed. I had finally lost the game before this against Enchantress. They were on the play, and like they just ramped up to, I don't remember, but it was like turn 4. They drew this card where they ramped up and ramped up and ramped up, and they eventually had like 9 permanents from the top of their deck onto the battlefield somehow. Either way, game 1, I never saw any type of interaction or counterspell, so I literally couldn't do anything against it. Game 2, once again, I never saw any interaction, and I think both of those, no, the first game, it wasn't a bad hand, but against that it was. And the second one, I mulliganed the 6, and I never saw any interaction, so it was like kind of one of those things. It wasn't the greatest matchup ever, which was kind of annoying, though, when you don't draw the cards that you really need against a deck that you're going to have trouble with in the first place. So, like I said, this was very well needed. Thank you for watching, as always, and have the best day ever.